My girlfriend let her ex move into my apartment. She said, "He'll sleep in our room. He needs privacy to job hunt." They even plotted to get pregnant to trap me forever. This story is long, but believe me, it gets brutal. I am also probably the villain in her version, but honestly, I have not slept so well in years. First, a little context. Why does it matter? I am 29 years old. I have been working as an electrician for about 8 years. I started right after high school. I did my apprenticeship and now I earn a good salary, about $75,000 a year. I am not rich, but I earn enough not to worry about bills or if I can buy food. I am the kind of person who works hard, saves, and does not ask for much. Blue collar at heart and proud of it. I have always been what they call the reliable one. In school, I was the one who actually showed up when I said I would. At work, I am the electrician who arrives on time, does the job well, and does not leave a mess. In relationships, well, apparently I was the guy who paid for everything and was taken advantage of. But we will get to that. 3 years ago, my grandparents passed away 6 months apart. It broke my heart. They basically raised me after my parents died in a car accident when I was 12 years old. My grandfather was a machinist. My grandmother worked for the phone company for 30 years. Hardworking, decent people who taught me the value of effort and treating others well. They left me their house, a solid 1960s ranch in a good neighborhood that they had bought new and lived in for 40 years. 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, a large yard with mature oak trees, and most importantly, completely paid off. No mortgage, just taxes and maintenance. The house was worth about $400,000 in the current market. For someone like me, inheriting a house with no mortgage was like winning the lottery. It meant I could save most of my income, take a few risks, build something for my future. I had been living alone for a year when I met Jessica at a friend's barbecue. She was 27 years old, cute in that girl next door kind of way. She worked as an assistant at a real estate office, earning maybe $35,000. We clicked immediately. She was funny, seemed down to earth, and did not make me feel like I had to pretend to be someone I was not. When we started dating, she lived in a tiny studio apartment on the other side of town. She was always complaining about money. She paid $1,100 a month for basically a closet with a kitchenette. Her car was constantly breaking down. She was drowning in student debt from a degree she was not even using. I felt sorry for her. I was living in a beautiful house without paying rent while she was barely surviving. So about 14 months ago, I asked her to move in with me. It seemed like the next logical step in the relationship, and honestly, I thought I was being a good boyfriend. She could save money, we would spend more time together, and she could help with the little things around the house. A win-win situation for both of us, right? Big mistake. The biggest mistake of my life. Looking back, I can see all the red flags I ignored. How she never offered to pay for groceries or utilities, even after saving $1,100 a month on rent. How she slowly started redecorating my house without asking, replacing my furniture with things she liked. How she would get upset when I suggested splitting expenses, saying that I earned much more than her, so it was not fair. But I loved her, or thought I did. And men like me were raised to provide, to take care of our women. I thought that is what real men did. They take charge so their girlfriends do not have to stress. What I did not realize is that Jessica saw me as an ATM with a house included. Anyway, last Wednesday morning started like any other. I got up at 6 in the morning, making coffee and getting ready for work. I had a big project that day, wiring an office building downtown. Good money, but it meant I would be there until at least 8 at night. Jessica came into the kitchen around 6:30, still in her pajamas, looking at her phone. As always, she had that expression, you know the one, the face they make when they are about to tell you something, and they have already decided you are going to agree because you always do. That arrogant little smile of someone who thinks she has you eating out of the palm of her hand. Honey, I have some news, she says, without even looking up from her phone. I was spreading butter on a piece of toast, and something in her tone gave me a bad feeling. What kind of news? Good news. Amber and Chloe are moving in next week. I was in mid-chew. I dropped coffee grounds on the counter from the shock. Amber and Chloe were her 2 best friends, and they were absolutely terrible. The kind of women who think the world owes them something just for existing. Amber was 26, worked as a social media coordinator for a small business, which basically meant she posted stories on Instagram and thought she was important. For that reason, one of those who call themselves an influencer with 2,000 followers, most of them probably bots, always taking pictures of her food and talking about building her brand. Superficial is an understatement. Chloe was worse. An aspiring fitness influencer who spent her day taking provocative photos at the gym and tagging protein companies hoping for free samples. She had this fake, sweet voice she used when she wanted something, but the mask would fall off when she thought no one important was looking. I had seen her be incredibly rude to waiters and store employees. Both of them treated me like a piece of furniture whenever they came over. They would raid my fridge, use my Wi-Fi, leave everything a mess, and act as if I should be grateful for the privilege of hosting them. Moving in? Where exactly? I asked, though I already felt my stomach twist into a knot. She answered as if I were stupid for asking. Their lease is up and they cannot renew it. It is the perfect time. You have those 2 empty rooms not being used. Jessica, we never talked about this. This is my house. Where are they going to sleep? Well, they will take the 2 extra rooms. I already told them the bigger one has the best closet, so Amber gets that one because she has more clothes. She kept looking at her phone, planning my house as if it were hers to give away. And then she stopped, smiling in a way that chilled my blood. Tyler is moving in too. Tyler, her ex-boyfriend from college. The guy she said was just a friend, but with whom she had been texting nonstop for months. Late-night conversations she would hide when I walked into the room. Inside jokes that, according to her, I would not understand. That Tyler. Tyler, I said slowly, putting my coffee cup down with more force than necessary. Yes, he got fired from his job in Denver and needs a place to stay while he gets back on his feet. The poor guy is going through a tough time. He can sleep on the couch for now, but you know how uncomfortable that sectional sofa is for sleeping. Something clicked in my head. The late-night text messages, the girls' nights that ended at 3 in the morning, the way she had been distant lately, always glued to her phone, always with excuses to go out. The times I came home from work and found her nervous as if I had interrupted something. Let me see if I understand this correctly, I said calmly. You want to move your ex-boyfriend and your 2 friends into my house? For free? Well, yeah. They do not have money right now, and it is not like we are using those rooms for anything. She replied and finally looked up from her phone. I saw the annoyance shining in her eyes. Besides, you make good money. You can afford to help people. It is not like it costs you anything extra. It would not cost me anything extra. As if having 3 more people using my electricity, water, and food was free. As if invading my personal space was insignificant. And where am I supposed to sleep when Tyler is on the couch? And this is when she really showed who she was. This was the moment I should have known exactly what kind of person I was dealing with. Actually, I was thinking Tyler could stay in our room, you know, because he needs privacy to look for a job, make calls and stuff. You could use the small room. It is not like you need much space, and you usually get home late from work. I will figure out what to do. Maybe I will rotate between rooms so no one feels left out. She could not even lie convincingly. She was planning to sleep with Tyler in our bed while sending me to the guest room. In the house my dead grandparents left me, in the house where I paid every single one of the bills. I looked at this woman I thought I loved, and everything became crystal clear. She was not my girlfriend. I was not her boyfriend. I was her debit card, her free housing, her financial safety net, and now she wanted to move her lover into my house to have it all, her relationship, her comfort, and have me pay for the party. Okay, I said calmly. Her face lit up as if it were Christmas. Really? Oh my God. Thank you, honey. I knew you would understand. You are seriously the best boyfriend in the world. She grabbed her purse, practically jumping with excitement. I'm going to meet them for brunch and give them the good news. Tyler is arriving tonight from Denver, so this weekend we will start moving things in. It is going to be so much fun. She gave me a kiss on the cheek as if I were a puppy that had just done a trick, took her keys, and walked out the door. I stood there for exactly 60 seconds, watching her drive away in the Honda Civic I had been helping her pay for a year. The car I co-signed for because her credit was terrible, the car that was in both our names, but whose insurance policy I paid for. Then I picked up the phone and called in sick to work for the first time in 2 years. The first thing I did was think, really think. I sat at the kitchen table with a cup of coffee and forced myself to look at the situation objectively, as if I were troubleshooting an electrical problem. Jessica had just told me she was moving 3 people into my house without asking my permission. She had planned to give my room to her ex-boyfriend. She organized all this behind my back and expected me to just accept it because I make good money and can help. But beyond that, her attitude said it all. The casual way she announced it as if my opinion did not matter, the fact that she had already promised them rooms before talking to me, the assumption that I would just give in and accept whatever she decided. This was not a misunderstanding. It was not a lack of communication. It was a power play. She was testing how far she could push me, how much she could take advantage of me before I set a boundary. Well, she was about to find out. First call, my brother-in-law Miguel, who is a lawyer. I need to know if someone has lived in my house for 14 months, has never paid rent, and has no contract. What rights do they have? Good morning, Jesse. What is up? I explained the situation as objectively as I could. Miguel listened without interrupting, which I appreciated. He is a good guy. In this state, if a legal tenancy was never established and you can prove she was just a guest, probably none. But kick her out as soon as possible, before she can claim residency. Do you have documentation that she never paid? Bank records that prove I paid for everything. Utilities, food, car payments, everything. Good. Then you are probably covered, but do not delay. The longer someone stays, the stronger their potential claim becomes. You need her out today if you can. That is the plan. Jesse, are you sure about this? It sounds like a radical option. She just told me she is moving her ex into my room while I sleep in the guest room. Yes, I am sure. Jesus. Okay. Call me if you need anything. Document everything. Second call, 24-hour locksmith. I need you to change all the locks in my house today. Front door, back door, garage door, all of them. That is going to be expensive on such short notice, they told me. I do not care what it costs. How soon can you be here? We can send someone at 10 in the morning. Perfect. Third call, moving company. I need someone's belongings to be packed and put into storage. Professional job, everything documented with photos. How many things are we talking about? One person's belongings, clothes, personal items, some furniture. A small truck will probably be needed. We can send a team this afternoon if you are willing to pay an urgent fee. Send them. The locksmith arrived first. Professional, did not ask questions, just did his job. While he was working on the front door, I went through the house systematically, taking inventory of everything that belonged to Jessica. Over time, she had brought in more and more of her things. It started small, a toothbrush, clothes to sleep over, but gradually she took over the place. Her makeup covered the bathroom sink. Her clothes took up 2/3 of the closet. Her ridiculous collection of essential oils and crystals filled the dresser. Her laptop, her books, her decorative pillows that replaced the ones my grandmother had made. As I walked through each room, I realized that she had essentially redecorated my entire house without asking my permission. The blankets on the sofa were hers. The art on the walls was to her taste. Even the coffee maker was one she had bought to replace mine, which worked perfectly fine, just because it looked outdated. She had not just moved in, she had settled in and slowly erased me from my own space. And then I got lucky, very lucky. Jessica had left her laptop open on the kitchen counter, still connected to her messaging apps. She always left her things lying around. She never thought about security or privacy, probably because she assumed I was too trusting and foolish to snoop. I was not planning to check her messages. I was just going to close the laptop and pack it with her other things. But there it was, right on the screen, a group chat called Operation Free House, with her, Amber, Chloe, and Tyler. My hands were shaking as I took screenshots of everything. As I scrolled through months of messages, the full picture became clear. This was not just them wanting to move in. They had been planning it for months. Tyler had been coming to my house every time I was at work. Those nights Jessica said were with the girls were actually meetings in hotels. Every excuse, every lie, every time she made me feel guilty for distrusting her, it was all part of the plan. The moving crew arrived at 1 in the afternoon. 3 men with a truck, very professional. I explained the situation neutrally, a personal relationship that had ended. I need belongings removed and stored. They did not ask for details, they just started working. It was surprisingly emotional to watch them pack her things. Each object told a story. The jewelry I bought her for her birthday, the expensive skincare products she convinced me to buy because they were an investment in our future, the lingerie she apparently did not wear for me. In 3 hours, there was no trace of Jessica left in my house. They packed everything efficiently and professionally, with photos to document in case of any legal dispute later. I paid for 6 months of storage up front, $180 a month. It seemed like a bargain, considering what this was going to cost her. The locksmith finished around 4 in the afternoon. Every door had new locks and new keys. I put the storage unit receipt and a new set of keys in a combination lockbox on the porch, along with a note explaining the code. Then I sat at the kitchen table and carefully reviewed all the screenshots I had taken from her laptop. What I found was worse than I had imagined. The chat group screenshots read like a manual on how to manipulate and take advantage of someone. For months of messages between Jessica, Amber, Chloe, and Tyler. For months of laughing at me, planning around me, treating me like their personal joke. The highlights, the ones that still make my blood boil. Jessica, he seriously thinks I love him. El Mayo, like he really thinks we have a future together. Amber, keep milking him, girl. Free house is free house. My rent went up again and I am dying. Chloe, when are you going to leave him and keep the house? Can you not claim it through common law marriage or something? Jessica, I am working on it. Tyler thinks we should all move in and see how long he lasts before he breaks. Turn him into our roommate without him realizing it. Amber, that is brilliant. Worst case, he kicks you out and you get alimony or whatever. Jessica, we are not married, idiot. But I have lived there for over a year, so I probably have tenant rights or something. I looked it up. Tenant rights. She had researched how to legally steal my house from me. Chloe, what if he finds out about Tyler? Men get crazy when they discover infidelity. Jay, he will not. He is too dumb and trusting. Besides, Tyler is so much better in bed anyway. LOL. Jesse is so vanilla. It is painful. Amber, poor electrician, just wants to fix everyone's problems with his tools. Jessica, his grandparents' house is worth like $400,000. If I can get pregnant by him, I have a free pass for life. That one hit me like a damn truck. She was trying to trap me with a baby while cheating on me. I thought about all the times she forgot her birth control pill, how she insisted on stopping using condoms because it was more romantic. Tyler, I cannot wait to screw you in his bed again tomorrow. That guy works until 9, right? Jessica, yeah, he has that big job downtown. We will have the whole afternoon to ourselves. Messages from 2 weeks ago, while I was working overtime to pay for the new appliances she wanted for our kitchen. Tyler, has she been pretty obvious lately? Jessica, nah, he is a naive. I could probably take you to dinner, and he would think we are just friends. He is that pathetic. But the worst was from the day before. Jessica told them that they were all moving in, and they said, seriously? Just like that. What a human doormat. We told you he was a beta. I cannot wait to see his face when he realizes what is happening. It is going to be hilarious. Jessica, right? We are going to have a whole house to throw parties while he pays for everything. It is literally perfect. He will probably even cook for us if I ask nicely. Amber, make sure you get pregnant first. Tie him down before he grows a spine. Chloe, assuming he has enough testosterone to get you pregnant. They thought I was pathetic, a doormat, a beta, a walking ATM with no backbone who deserved everything they did to me. I took screenshots of every message, every photo they shared, every cruel joke at my expense. Then I started to build a complete file. You see, this is what Jessica and her friends did not know about me. I may be quiet and laid back, but I am not stupid. When you work in construction, when you work with electricity, you learn to plan everything 3 steps ahead. You document everything because if something goes wrong, someone could die. You check your work 3 times because there is no room for error. And when someone tries to screw you over, you do not get angry or make mistakes. You get methodical, you plan, you execute. I spent the next few hours researching the 4 of them. Social media accounts, work information, personal connections, everything they had posted online, every digital footprint they left. Jessica's real estate office belonged to the Henderson family, deeply religious people who had built their business on Christian values and family integrity. Their website had entire sections about moral character and community reputation. They would probably fire someone for jaywalking if it affected their image. Amber worked in social media for Hometown Restaurant Group, a local family-owned chain that catered to conservative suburban families. Their whole brand was wholesome family food and traditional values, the kind of company that would never tolerate their employees being involved in infidelity scandals. Chloe was desperately trying to get sponsorships from various fitness companies. She tagged them constantly, posted transformation photos trying to build her brand. Most of those companies have strict clauses for their ambassadors about maintaining a positive public image. Tyler was the most interesting. According to his LinkedIn, he still worked for a sales company in Denver, but I found public records suggesting he was on administrative leave pending an investigation. With a little more digging, I discovered it was for expense account fraud. Apparently, he had been charging personal expenses to corporate accounts. They had built their own weapons. Every social media account, every professional connection, every bridge they might one day need, it was all documented online. All I had to do was connect the dots and set it on fire. But first I wanted to see how it all unfolded. I wanted to see them realize what they had lost. The first message came at 6:30 in the evening, right when Tyler must have arrived from Denver. "Honey, Tyler is here with the truck. Why are not the keys working?" I was sitting in my living room having a beer, watching on my security cameras as 3 people stood on my porch looking confused. Tyler was exactly what I expected, a tall, muscular, gym bro type. He probably spent more on hair products than I did on food. I did not reply to the message. 6:47 in the evening. "Jesse, seriously, we are here with the boxes. What is wrong with the door? Did you change something?" 6:51 in the evening. "This is not funny. We have all our stuff here. Amber's parents were expecting us to move out tonight. Call me right now." My phone started to ring. I watched it vibrate on the coffee table as I took another sip of my beer. On the camera, I could see Jessica getting more and more agitated. Amber and Chloe were looking around as if they did not understand what planet they were on. 6:58 in the evening. "What the hell did you do? There is a combination lockbox on the door. Are you crazy?" That is when the real meltdown began. My phone did not stop ringing with calls from different numbers. An avalanche of messages was coming in. "You cannot just kick me out. I live here. We had an agreement. This is illegal. I have rights. You are going to pay for this, you psychopath. I am going to call the police." On the camera, I saw Tyler trying to look through the windows, pulling at the back door, getting more and more frustrated. Amber was crying on the phone, probably to her parents. Chloe was taking pictures, probably to put together some dramatic social media story. Around 8 in the evening, my neighbor Carl came over to see what all the noise was about. I went out to talk to him. "Everything okay, Jesse? There have been people on your porch for hours making a lot of noise." "Yeah, sorry. I had to kick out my girlfriend and her friends. They are having a hard time accepting they do not live here anymore." Carl looked over at the group huddled by their moving truck. "Do you want me to call the police? Technically, they are already trespassing." "Nah, they will figure it out. Thanks anyway." Around 10 at night, Jessica called from another number. I finally answered. "What the hell is wrong with you?" she screamed. Her voice was raw, as if she had been crying for hours. "Nothing is wrong with me, Jessica. I am finally thinking clearly. You threw out all my things, you changed the locks, and we were all supposed to move in today. It was all planned." "Yes, I know. I read your group chat." Total silence. I could hear her brain trying to process how I could have known about her private messages. "What group chat?" "The one where you call me the ATM and plan to turn me into a roommate in my own house. The one where you and Tyler talk about sleeping in my bed while I am at work. The one where you discuss trapping me with a baby. Operation Free House. Did you not leave your laptop open?" I could hear Tyler in the background asking what was going on. Amber crying. Total chaos. "Jesse, I can explain." "No need. Your things are in a storage unit. The information is in the combination lockbox by the door. You have 6 months paid for to figure out what you will do next. You cannot do this. I have rights. I live there." "What rights? You do not pay rent. Your name is not on any paper. You are a guest who overstayed her welcome. I have already spoken to a lawyer." Tyler took the phone. His voice was just as I imagined, that fake, confident tone that guys like him use when they try to intimidate you. "Listen, buddy, this is between you and her. Let us in and let us talk like adults. Are you the same Tyler who was sleeping with my girlfriend in my house while I was at work? The one who thinks I am a beta too stupid to notice?" Pause. I could practically hear his brain short circuit. "Look, man, it is not what you think. It is exactly what I think. And now you can all figure out where you will sleep tonight. since apparently that was part of the plan. I hung up and turned off my phone. For the next hour, I watched on the cameras as they argued loudly in my driveway. A lot of pointing, yelling, Tyler throwing his arms up, Amber crying even harder. Finally, around 11 at night, they got in the U-Haul and left. I later learned from Carl that they spent the night in the truck parked at Walmart because none of them had a plan B. 3 adults with a truck full of furniture and nowhere to go, arguing about whose fault it was and what to do next. It could not have happened to more deserving people. The following days were wonderfully peaceful. I went back to work. I told my colleagues that Jessica and I had broken up. I received some sympathetic looks and offers to go out for a drink. Life began to feel normal again. I was sleeping better than I had in months. The house felt like mine again. I could walk around in my underwear, leave dishes in the sink, watch whatever I wanted on television. Little pleasures I had not realized how much I had missed. But I should have seen it coming. People like Jessica and her group do not accept consequences. They do not learn from their mistakes, nor do they move on. They double down and try to make everyone else pay for their problems. The social media attack began about a week later. I first noticed it when my friend Dave from work sent me a screenshot. Amber had fired the first shot with an Instagram post. Sometimes the people closest to you show their true colors. Praying for my friend, who is going through the worst kind of emotional abuse. When someone uses money and housing to control another person, that is domestic violence. Real men do not abandon women in their time of need. Domestic violence? Emotional abuse? Prayer warrior? Chloe followed with her own post. Watching someone I care about being destroyed by a manipulative narcissist. Men who use their money to control women are literally the worst kind of abusers. She gave him everything, and he threw her away like trash. Some people are just evil. Narcissist. Financial abuse. Women supporting women. But Jessica went absolutely nuclear. She posted a whole story about being a victim of financial abuse and being thrown out onto the street by someone who claimed to love her. The post was carefully crafted to make it seem like I had hit her or stolen from her. I cannot believe I am sharing this, but I need people to know what emotional abuse looks like. For over a year, I was trapped in a relationship with someone who used money and housing to control every aspect of my life. When I finally tried to set boundaries and ask for basic respect, he kicked me out without any warning and with no way to support myself. I am currently homeless and struggling to rebuild my life after giving my all to someone who saw me as property. If you are in an abusive relationship, please know that you deserve better. There are people who will help you get out. Hashtag emotional abuse. Hashtag financial abuse. Hashtag domestic violence. Hashtag survivor. The post got hundreds of comments in a few hours. People calling me all sorts of names, offering to find me to teach me a lesson, sharing their own stories of abuse. Jessica replied to every comment, playing the role of the victim perfectly, adding small details that made me look like a monster. Tyler, the genius, posted on his own social media, "Real men do not abandon women in their time of need. Some people are just weak and take out their insecurities on those who love them. Cowardice is not attractive. Real men are loyal and steadfast." They were careful not to use my name directly, but anyone who knew us could figure out who they were talking about. My phone started getting strange calls from unknown numbers. Someone threw eggs at my house. I received horrible messages on social media from strangers who somehow figured out who I was. What affected me the most were not the lies themselves. It was the calculated manipulation. Jessica's posts made it seem like I had hit her or held her against her will. The comments from strangers asking for someone to find me and teach me a lesson were genuinely terrifying. They were trying to destroy my life, turn it to ashes, make me a pariah, or even get me hurt. All because I would not let them turn my house into their free party center. That is when I decided to return the favor. I had been saving those screenshots for a week, waiting to see if they would back down and move on with their lives, but they chose war. Perfect. I would show them what a real war was. Jessica's real estate office belonged to the Henderson family, who had built their business over 3 generations on Christian values and family integrity. Their website literally had a section about how we only hire people of good moral character who represent our values in the community. I spent hours drafting the perfect email to Mrs. Henderson, the owner of the company. Professional. Objective. Devastating. Subject. Concerns about an employee's conduct. Dear Mrs. Henderson, I hope this email finds you well. I am writing to you regarding your employee, Jessica last name. I was in a relationship with MS. Last name for almost 2 years, during which she lived in my home rent-free, while I covered all expenses. I recently discovered that she was carrying on an extramarital affair and had planned to move her lover and her friends into my home without my knowledge or consent. When I refused to accept that situation, she began a public campaign to defame my character on social media, making false accusations of abuse and attempting to damage my reputation in the community. I understand that personal matters do not normally affect the professional sphere, but given your company's stated commitment to integrity and moral character, I felt I should inform you of the type of person who represents your business. MS. Last name has been publicly posting false accusations of domestic violence and encouraging harassment against me, while privately bragging about financially manipulating me. Attached you will find documented evidence of MS. Last name's statements and behavior, including screenshots where she plans to take advantage of my housing situation and her own words about our relationship. I am not seeking any specific action, but I felt an ethical obligation to inform you as her employer. Sincerely, Jessie. I attached a carefully curated selection of screenshots. Nothing too graphic, but enough to show Jessica's true character and prove that her social media posts were lies. I sent it at 9 in the morning on a Monday. For Amber, I contacted the corporate office of Hometown Restaurant Group. Family businesses hate scandals, especially those involving adultery and fraud. I sent a similar email explaining how their employee was using company-associated accounts to spread false accusations of abuse and encourage harassment. Chloe was easier. I found the contact information for the 5 fitness companies she had been begging for sponsorships. Each email was personalized according to their brand values, usually something about being positive role models and inspiring others. I explained how their potential brand ambassador was involved in elaborate schemes to scam people out of housing and was spreading false accusations of abuse on social media. Tyler was the most satisfying. A little more digging revealed that his administrative leave was actually a suspension while he was being investigated for expense account fraud. I found his supervisor's email address and sent him a helpful summary of Tyler's recent activities, including detailed evidence that he was planning to commit housing fraud while already being investigated for corporate fraud. And then I waited. The first domino fell exactly 48 hours later. Jessica called me at 7 in the morning, crying hysterically. I got fired. Mrs. Henderson called me into her office yesterday and fired me. I am so sorry. You sent them those screenshots and ruined my job. How could you do this to me? I sent them public information about your character. They made their own decision about whether they wanted you to represent their company. I cannot find another job. Everyone in the real estate world knows the Hendersons. They are blacklisting me. What a shame. How could you do this to me? I loved you. We were building a life together. No, Jessica. You loved my house and my salary. You were building a life for yourself at my expense. There is a big difference. She hung up, crying. Over the next month, the other dominoes fell like clockwork. Amber was fired from the restaurant chain when the company decided that her moral character issues and her participation in harassment campaigns did not align with their family values. The email I sent included screenshots where she insulted me and planned to take advantage of my housing. Chloe's sponsorship dreams died when 3 different companies withdrew their offers after receiving my information packets. It turned out that brands that sell products to suburban moms do not want ambassadors involved in adultery and fraud. Tyler's situation was the most satisfying. His company used my evidence as the last straw in their fraud investigation. Planning to commit housing fraud while already being investigated for financial fraud showed a pattern of dishonesty that made him completely unemployable in sales. He was officially fired and blacklisted from the entire industry. But the real satisfaction came from watching the social media narrative collapse. Once Jessica lost her job and the others started facing consequences, their posts became increasingly desperate and contradictory. Jessica deleted her abuse accusations after someone in the comments asked why she had not filed a police report. Amber's posts became furious rants about unfair treatment. Chloe simply disappeared. The highlight was about 6 weeks later. I was at the supermarket when I saw Amber working as a cashier at a gas station. She looked rough, tired, stressed, wearing a uniform that was a bit too big for her. When she saw me in line, She just stared at me. I was polite, professional. How are you, Amber? Fine, she muttered without looking me in the eyes. Glad to hear it. Have a good day. As I walked away, I could see the expression in her eyes. She knew perfectly well why she was ringing up energy drinks and cigarettes instead of posting Instagram stories for corporate clients. She knew that every unpleasant customer, every long shift, every humiliating moment was a direct result of the decisions she had made. Through mutual friends, I learned that Chloe had moved back in with her parents in a small town an hour away. Her fitness influencer dreams were dead and buried. Apparently, her parents were not at all happy to learn about their daughter's involvement in adultery and scams. Jessica was working at a call center for $12 an hour, living in a studio apartment that consumed half of her salary. No more free housing, no more someone paying for everything. She was finally living the life she had truly earned. And Tyler, the last I heard, was doing deliveries for DoorDash because no one in legitimate sales wanted to hire him after the fraud conviction. For people who thought they could destroy my life for fun were now working odd jobs and barely surviving. They went from planning to live in my house for free to struggling to make ends meet in just 2 months. Poetic justice does not even begin to describe it.